let's go over all the things for MoP Remix. I have been non-stop playing this game for about 10 days. That I haven't even really logged into my retail character aside from checking my vault, which I was disappointed by. That's another story for another time. Anyways, all the things, all the chaos, all the fun, and some of the uncomfortabilities for MoP Remix and what it's felt like for the past 10 days, and if you will enjoy it. Realistically, it's just a collection mode, but there is a definite power creep that you can do and have even more fun and chaos. Now, of course, when playing a new character, the important decision to make is Horde or Alliance. And obviously, being named Touchpadwarrior, a lot of folks guessed that I would just be playing a Tauren warrior, like I always do. So they were really confused when I did this. I chose to play a priest. Not just a priest, but a shadow priest. Yeah, and it's a void elf. So it's been really awkward having folks pop in, and I definitely don't want to rebrand it to Touchpad Priest, because that sounds terrible. But I figured with this game mode, I might as well try out playing Alliance for once, because I really never do it, and because it's a speed leveling scenario, hey, let's get the Void Elf Heritage Armor while we're at it. War Within's around the corner, Void Elf things, and honestly, Shadow Priests look amazing in the War Within. So that was my pick. I wanted to have this ridiculously juiced Shadow Priest to go around doing insane content with, and just basically soloing dungeons and raids. That's the goal, that's the mission, that's what I'm set out to do. So I grabbed a few of my friends and we went off to adventure to experience what MoP Remix was like. And we just tried to do a lot of dungeons. We're like, hey, we can queue dungeons right away. Neat. That was probably not the smartest move. Definitely should have quested, and it took us way too long to kind of figure that one out. You were incentivized to go do these achievements, unlock these metas, and that way you get more bronze caches. The whole game mode is around you collecting bronze, getting collectibles, and then also at max level, then using that bronze to upgrade your gear so you can do more difficult content. We kind of just assumed we'd be able to overpower everything right away with that cloak, but with a brand new character, that was definitely not the case. So after a lot, and I mean a lot of dungeons and some raids, we ultimately came to the decision, hey, we need to be questing, because the dungeon content was a little too rough for fresh characters. So we eventually did our questing, got leveled up, and started doing some raids. At that point, the farm pretty much became how much bronze can we collect. So we would spend hours going around killing different rares in the zone, or queuing for LFR, or trying to do normal raid. And on day one, that was a little rough, and there were some classes that were way stronger than others, and with certain tinkering items, kind of the fun was the discovery of what did as much damage as possible, or healing throughput, or how could our tank, Tasty, be like absolutely unkillable. That was dynamic. So it was really fun as our party, being Axe playing a Warlock, Lithium playing a Resto Shaman, Tasty playing a Prot Warrior, and me a Shadow Priest, what we could do to mix around with stuff to make our end mission as fast as possible, efficient as possible, and really chaotic and fun. And during that journey, we discovered, hey, we can trade gems. So we started just trading around different stat gems. So that way, Axe got a lot of mastery, I got a lot of haste, Tasty got all the versatility and armor gems, and sorry, Lithium. Lithium was a back end thought on that one. He eventually got his gems, don't worry about it. But we traded around a lot of gems, got legendary gems for our gear, and roughly around level 40 to 50 is when things actually started to pick up a lot. That's when the speed really came in, or the power really kicked in. So going from 1 to 40 was a little bit of a drag. Going from 40 to 70 was like that. It was like no problem at all. And this was before they added a whole bunch of buffs to things, like how when you queue LFR, you get a guaranteed 7% experience gain. And the first LFR you can queue for is at 25 doing Mogushan vaults. So now, with our secondary characters, it has been a streamlined process, because your cloak will carry over after you get to 70 and you do those achievements, that you will have 150 strength, 150 versatility, and 750 stamina, as well as your cloak starting off with 100% experience gain. That makes things a lot faster, and once you get to 25, which maybe takes you 20 to 30 minutes, then you can just queue LFR. And honestly, if you want to be lazy as possible about it, and you don't have a lot of time to dedicate towards leveling, I would highly recommend just queuing for LFR each day, and that's your daily task, because that's the most potent source of getting your XP gain. Going around and farming threads definitely is worth it, killing rares, etc. Pretty much there's no content that's not worth it, but as far as efficiency goes for leveling up secondary characters, I would highly recommend just queuing your LFRs and knock that out of the park. Let us fast forward to about 2 days in. Rumor got around that farming frogs was the most efficient way possible to get your bronze, gems, and threads, because that's the whole point of this game mode. And it made sense because you had to farm frogs back in Miss Pandaria a lot, because those lesser charms is what you use to get your bonus rolls, and those bonus rolls obviously you use to get additional gear, or a chance at it at least. So farmed some frogs for a while with homies, and got from about 300 of each stat to about 1300 of each stat. And this made it so we felt like we could actually do some of that more difficult content with a little bit more ease. When you hit max level, or when you did, because it's past tense, all the content was way scaled out of proportion. Starting off in this game mode, it felt like time crawling, and then round 40 to 50 bracket, it felt more like time running. That's when you got your juice and you felt more powerful, and you could take on more objectives or higher difficult content. When you hit max level, it almost felt like you were nerfed. So it became time crawling again. It was like, okay, what can we do at all so that way we can actually do this difficult content? Even heroic scenarios were insanely overtuned, and we would probably spend 20 minutes trying to do a heroic scenario. It was a little rough. When we got this gear, cool, or these threads, not really gear, we could actually do that content, and it made it so we could do it, right? Now, everything's been tuned. Everything's fine, and even these cloaks have been nerfed for anybody that did frog farm. And in case you haven't seen the other videos or posts online or whatnot, people did get squished down in their stats, and then their gear they did get to keep. I didn't actually upgrade my gear with bronze from these frogs. I bought mounts. I'm the mount collector. What'd you expect out of me? So nothing really hurt me too much there, because I didn't really get nerfed too much since I didn't also farm that much, especially compared to some other folks. Some folks had like 9,000 primary stat. That's extreme. So things have been squished down, the gap has been closed a little bit, and that makes it way easier to actually do that content because we're now 10, 11 days in. And being such of a 90-day event, you'd kind of hope you can complete heroic raids by now, especially if you're focusing on one character and using your bronze to upgrade that equipment. When it came to the initial raid difficulty, it started to pick up that you had to do mechanics around TOT, because TOT was the more tuned thing, or highly tuned thing. I did actually enjoy that aspect, but after about a day or two, I was kind of numb to it. Keep in mind, for doing the raids in MoP Remix, they are daily lockouts, not a weekly lockout. So the idea or concept you'd have in your head as a player would be, we can rush through this content and do it again tomorrow if we'd like to. Over the process of like these 10 days and doing these raids over and over and over, it has become a mind-numbing experience, unfortunately. But I also don't care, because I like to grind and I like to make sure my character is as strong as possible. And for a different reason than most folks might think. See, for me, I have pretty much all the collectibles already. And if I truly cared about getting those as a primary thing, I think all I'm missing is a few armor sets, and that's it. All the mounts are purchased, I had all the toys from collecting, all the big purchase items like the Heavenlord's Cloud Serpent, I've had all those mounts prior to this event. So, this story mode, or this game mode for me, was more so about collecting heritage armors and leveling up a secondary warrior, a secondary shaman, things like that. However, I'm in the unique experience, or unique footing, that I'm a full-time content creator, and I can grind out and dedicate time towards this each night to grind up slowly my character to be way overpowered to the point where I could carry people through these raids that may not have time to do such. Some folks have full-time jobs, most of you do, and maybe kids, a partner, whatnot. And the last thing you want to do is try to log into MoP Remix, maybe get those titles, because that's really the only thing that you get for doing such. If you clear all the raids on normal difficulty, you get a necklace, so you get 3 additional sockets, which for some reason the jewelry doesn't go up in item level, and you also can't upgrade it. Beside the point. When you clear all of heroic raids, you get a title called Claw of Eternus. And if you clear Mythic Siege of Orgrimmar, which I have yet to even do, you would get Paragon of the Mists as a title. That's a really far-stretched thing to do. Now, do I feel like the balancing is there for it appropriately? Sure, because it's a title. Titles are not nearly as a sought-after thing as maybe a mount would be, or a transmog set. Realistically, if you're doing this game mode, you can probably get all the collectibles that you want from just leveling a few characters. Especially because after the tuning they did for adjustments for people that farmed frogs, as long as you get a character to level 70, you get 40,000 bronze. That's huge, because the highest ticket item is 38,500. Now, there's a unique thing to this, which is the heirloom items that came off Garrosh originally back in Miss Pandaria, and also Tusk of Manaroth. So those items come with a additional regent, or purchasing token that you need to get, which is Tusks of Manaroth that come off of Garrosh himself. So you would have to farm Garrosh. I believe on normal difficulty it drops 1, heroic it drops 5, and I think mythic drops 10. Again, I haven't done mythic, I don't really know. But that's the only other items that you would have to seek after. Additionally, most folks will probably knock out getting all your cosmetics and collectibles, maybe level like 3 characters, in about less than a week. So for a 90-day event, totally appropriate. However, for the folks that would like to have some titles, I'm going to dedicate my hours in playing this game and streaming this game mode to just juicing up this one character. I'm currently sitting at about 410 item level overall. Most of my gear and equipment's at 444. Obviously, with the jewelry and trinkets being locked at 340, I think it's 342, your item level average is kind of skewed. But I'm now at the point where I can start doing heroic raids, probably with another full group of people that are around 400 item level. And eventually, hopefully in about a month, with the collective work of a lot of other folks in the community, trying to juice up one character, my goal and mission is to help out folks in my community for getting those titles, because you do have to grind quite a bit, way past the point of any collectibles you need, just to do the content. I do think they need to nerf the amount of bronze that's required to upgrade pieces of equipment. One fine example would be if you have a two-hander and you upgrade that, per level, per upgrade, costs 9,000 bronze. Most of the mounts cost 4,000. Most of the transmog sets, I think, cost anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000. So if you're investing your time into this game mode just to be powerful, it takes a lot of grinding. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to be the one that does that, because I can sit through doing all of my dailies, the heroic scenarios, heroic dungeon, normal dungeon, all the LFRs, and just juice up this one character to try to help out the community with getting those more difficult to obtain titles. Just going to voice over a little bit for some of the past streams. Even though this is mind-numbing to kind of redo all of these raids over and over, there is that definite power creep that you have, and you get that sensation where bosses just start to go down flat. There's no problem with it at all. So the amount of time investment when you first start doing those raids might take you anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. In the long run, hopefully in about another week, with the other people helping me out being juiced up with their characters, then it'll probably take us like 10 to 15 minutes per raid. So that's the core concept, and that's what I want to do. I would definitely still like to see that bronze nerf into upgrading equipment, so that way people don't have the choice paralysis of, do I want to get the cosmetics, or do I want to have a really geared character? I don't think it's a 1-to-1 ratio when it comes to having the titles over having mounts, transmog, and toys at all. But it would be nice for some folks to maybe be incentivized, like, oh, you know what? Maybe I will play a little bit more and gear up this one character. At the moment, it's just a really, really long uphill grind. Granted, as you get more geared, then that means you can get bronze even faster because you're clearing those raids at a faster rate, etc. But it is a process to go through all of these raids every single day. So back to the original question, have I enjoyed my time in playing this game mode? Is it worth it? I would say absolutely. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time in this game mode. In fact, I've even been playing off stream, which is not really like me. I typically have a lot of other stuff to do and whatnot and different hobbies. I'm doing a lot of gardening lately. I like gardening, all right? It's kind of fun. I also want to plant my own herbs. I was a chef. It's nice to have herbs. Anyways, I've really enjoyed this game mode. Even with, again, the grindiness of doing the same content over and over and over for a small power increase, I don't mind it. I think the reason I'm thoroughly having fun still is the fact that I can have infinite potential out of my cloak to keep grinding higher, and also that I'm playing a different class. I think one of the major benefits of this game mode is that it incentivizes you with making it that you can level really fast to maybe try out a class you wouldn't typically play. A lot of folks might have been intimidated to try to tank or to heal, or maybe you're a melee main. Melee main sounds weird. Maybe you're a warrior main, and you don't really play a caster much. I was like, you know what? Shadow Priest look really cool in More Within. I want to play a Shadow Priest. I want to get used to how it's currently playing, and then probably end up having it as an alt, maybe even a main in More Within. I'm kidding. I'm not going to rebrand. That's a nightmare. I'm still going to play a warrior. It's way easier reading chat playing a warrior than it is trying to play a caster. Absolutely. Go ahead and fight me on that one. You know how easy it is to play a warrior, right? At least to my level. Anyways, I would highly recommend it. I think it's fun. I think it's chaotic. Realistically, if you don't want to dedicate too much time to it, maybe log in every day, every other day, do a few LFRs, do a few dailies. You'll definitely have enough bronze by the end of this event to get all the collectibles you care about. If you're trying to seek after doing the raids and whatnot, The cool thing is a lot of folks are already juiced and they're already kind of running through those raids. So by the time, even if the last month, the last 30 days of this event, you want to go do those heroic and mythic raids, there's probably a plethora of groups of people that have dedicated a lot of time to this game mode that will just take you in and then boom, knock it out of the park. So I highly suggest playing MoP Remix. I'm enjoying my time. There's a lot of silly things, including using a meteor and then a parasol, and then you can navigate through the zones really fast. The concept of being able to do basically any content to collect your bronze has been really entertaining. And choose an armor class that maybe you don't typically play. There's a lot of transmog to collect, even transmog that just dropped naturally in MoP Remix, or in Miss Pandaria, sorry, I'm used to saying MoP Remix, that when you're doing that content, you'll start to gather some transmog, and that way it's less farming for you on that armor class when your character gets transferred over to retail. And speaking of transferring over to retail, some things to keep in mind. You can get your heritage armor, but you won't be able to do such until that character transfers over when MoP Remix ends. And I believe also currently, no matter how much gear you get and whatnot, when your character transfers over, your item level is going to be basically starting out boosted character. I think about 420 item level. Currently, or how I currently stand, I think that might be a little low, but also after playing the War Within Alpha, most of the content for leveling up and starting zones is scaled to be around 400 item level. So it's not a big deal, but it would be kind of nice if maybe 500 item level for these characters, especially if you're dedicating a lot of time to it. Give them a little juice and make it so they're even more empowered to play the War Within. That'd be nice. And also, I think this game mode's really incentivized for folks that are playing Classic, or maybe haven't logged in a while, that just want to try out something new, or get kind of back in the groove of World of Warcraft, because it is very daunting to try to go into an MMORPG that's going to be turning 20 years old. I think this game mode is very fun and friendly to new players, and I highly suggest that you try it out. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed my rant of my experience. I wouldn't even say it was really a rant of playing MoP Remix. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. I highly suggest you try it out. If you'd like to discuss even more about this, feel free to leave in the comments below, or you can come bother me on Twitch 6 nights a week. Trust me, I'll be there. And if that's not enough for you, Instagram, TikTok, you can join the Discord server. And if you're just coming back to the game, there's a lot of folks in my community that are willing to actually answer your questions and help you out and guide you along the way and give you some tips and advice if you'd like it. But personally, I feel like the best enjoyment of playing WoW is just starting out fresh and just riding the wave. Whatever you like to do, there's no wrong answer. Cheers and have a legendary day.